Hello everyone, my name is Jake LaRue. I'm an equine facilitated learning professional as well as a student here at Montreat College. For about a decade now, I've been working as part of an equine assisted psychotherapy treatment team and independently in equine facilitated learning. I have a nonprofit called Man with a Horse Project that brings veterans from around the country out to a Mustang sanctuary in Colorado once a year for an experiential retreat, allowing them to commune with each other and engage in mutual growth, healing, and learning with our wild horses. About 5 years ago, I was in a major motorcycle accident that has since caused 5 surgeries, the last of which I'm recovering from right now. And that's made me reevaluate things in my life and come to the realization that I'm not going to be able to continue to work in such a physical capacity anymore. So I was forced to reevaluate where to go and what to do next. So my mission has been to help people and to help people with their mental health and their healing and to help them become everything that they meant to be and everything that they're intended to be. And I'm not going to be able to continue to do that in the way that I've been doing it. So I had to find alternatives, and counseling really called to me. So I guess that brings me to what brings me to counseling. The first thing that counseling appealed to me at was my lived experience. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran with several combat tours. A very difficult time transitioning to civilian life. I've had a number of failed relationships, been involved on both ends of domestic violence. I've had some addiction and alcohol issues. There's a lot of trauma in my background. And at one point, I experienced my dark night of the soul, waking up on the holding cell floor of Orleans Parish Prison in New Orleans after a night doing things that I never thought that I would be capable of doing. But I experienced my own recovery and rebirth, large in part very, very competent mental health counselors and professionals that were there to help me. And I know that other people are capable of it too. No matter how far you've gone, everybody is capable of redemption and everybody is capable of change. And it's been my joy to witness that in the work that I've done so far with other people. And it's my hope that I can learn more and become more competent and more capable of helping people make more profound changes in their life. The next part of why I'm here is my existing professional experience. Through equine assisted psychotherapy, equine facilitated learning, retreats, and work that I've done online with iPrevail and Military One Source, providing peer support and peer mentoring and coaching for military, active duty military veterans and their families. I've come to really value what we bring to the table as mental health professionals, but I've also learned the limitations of my education and my training. One of the things that's always been emphasized very strongly with any place that I've worked in with my own practice has been what my boundaries are. Stay in your lane. And as somebody with a bachelor's in social work and several certifications, but no professional licensing, there are areas that I can't go with people. And I have had to refer clients to other people with higher licensing and better credentials than I have to be able to provide them with help that I'm not only untrained to do, but honestly just incapable of. I don't want to be in that position again. And last thing that brings me here is my values. I believe that everyone deserves a chance and that everyone can change. We are not the worst thing that has happened to us, and we are not the worst things that we've done. Sometimes good people do bad things, and sometimes good people do a lot of bad things. And sometimes bad people can become good people, as simplistic as that sounds. But I do believe we're all capable of change, and I'm grateful that I was given the chance to, and that I took advantage of it. And I would like to have the tools and the skills to provide that opportunity for other people as well. So that brings me to what kind of counselor I'm becoming. Well, I don't really know. I'm waiting to find out. I want to be a counselor that's shaped by my faith, by my experience, and by my service. And just like my faith, that doesn't mean that I want to be a counselor with all the answers, but that means I want to be one that's open to the questions and open with sitting with people that are facing those hard, difficult, existential questions that there might not be hard and solid answers for. I want to be able to meet people with empathy, with authenticity, with an inquisitive mind, hold them accountable compassionately, and be fully 100% present and genuine for them in their experience. I want to be able to bring my lived experience into professional practice with clinical knowledge and skills. Not just, hey, I've been there too, I know what it's like, but having sat in some dark spaces, I know what those dark spaces feel like. Although I might have had a similar experience, it doesn't mean that I've had someone else's experience. And I want to become a counselor with strong clinical knowledge, a strong set of skills, and strong ethics required of a professional counselor. These are the things that I've noticed in my professional limitations working under a bachelor level. Um, I don't have the skill set. I don't have the clinical knowledge. The ethical boundaries are different. I need to know these to become a professional counselor, and this is the place where I intend to learn them. So what are the things that sets counseling apart from some of the other fields of help? One of the things I really like about it is that it's person-centered. It's not system or environment-centered, which is something I've experienced in the social work field. It's very focused on the individual and their experience and not so much on this is the environment that you grew up in, this is the neighborhood, this is the society, and this is the cause. It puts the onus on the person and it puts the strength and the solution on the person. It also recognizes that a person is more than their diagnosis. That's something I also learned from working in equine therapy with the horses. Horses don't care what your diagnosis is, what your bank account looks like, what kind of car you're driving, what sort of shoes you have on, or what your resume looks like. They're interested in who's standing in front of them right here and right now in this moment. That's something that I appreciate about the presence and holding space that I've seen professional counselors do when I've worked with them as part of a team. I like that professional counselors consider the whole being. They're not just the diagnosis. They're not just a physiological or a neurological problem. They're not just a set of pieces to put back together appropriately so that they function in the right world. They're whole people. They're mental, they're physical, they're emotional, and they're spiritual. And all of the components need to be addressed for healing. And last but not least is they look at the client and rely on self-advocacy and self-agency to apply strengths and solutions rather than sit in problems. The communities that I hope to serve and how I hope to serve them are primarily veterans and men. That has been my focus since I got into this work and the reason I got into this work. Um, Maybe it's because I'm a veteran and a man, but I do feel that both those demographics, veteran and men, most veterans happen to be men, face a unique set of problems with mental health. A lot of stigma, a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of unwillingness to be heard from the place that they're at now and expected to be met somewhere else before the healing can begin. There is a lot of trauma and grief and shame and abuse in those demographics that isn't directly addressed, or it's addressed through a gender neutral lens. And just as we have women's studies and specific women's focus groups, I think more of that needs to be turned toward men as well to recognize the kind of issues that are unique to us. I have specific things that interest me to work with men and veterans, things such as sexual trauma, which is largely unreported and unspoken about, moral injury, which often gets lumped into trauma injuries, but it's not quite the same thing, PTSD, complex trauma, very variety of different problems that men are facing that they address in different ways that women do, and they address in ways that aren't always very approachable by some of the conventional models that I've seen in the past. I'm interested in seeing if there's a different way. Is there something I don't know that I can learn? And is there something that can be done differently than it's been done in the past? This is where keeping an open mind and curiosity comes in. But I want to serve that community in the best way that I can. I'd like to do it through individual and group counseling. I've loved doing group counseling. I like the rapport built with individuals, but there's something magical about groups working together. Being able to take that into the next level of rapport and emotional intimacy in a non inappropriate way that can occur with more training, more grounded work that comes with more education and licensing would be a blessing. And I'd love to continue with teaching and public speaking. It's always been one of my favorite things to do in the mental health field. Knowing more and being able to share more of that knowledge would make me um, very happy. As for advocacy in the future, I really can't tell you exactly what the future looks like. It remains to be seen. Still in progress. There's several directions that I can see going, but all of them consider working to reduce the stigma around mental health for men. It's also to encourage men and veterans to seek support. So many of them stay sick because they stay silent. I stayed sick for many, many years, and it wasn't until I was willing to speak up and ask for help that I got help, and it helped. Um, there's got to be a way we can reach out and advocate for men and reduce that stigma and leave the door open and more accessible for them to receive help. And I also, more than anything, as I move forward in the future, I want to remain teachable. I want to be able to learn. I want to keep an open mind. And I want to constantly remind myself that my experiences, although they come from the same place, are not the same experiences as somebody else that I may be serving. And how can I be the best counselor I can be in the way that they need me to be so I can provide them with the help? And I think that's about all that I have for now. Thank you for your time. And in parting, my little donkeys would like to tell you to have a great day, and as would I. Blessed.